Hey craft nerds, how's it going? So I've been working on my dark crystal necklace, as you guys know, and I thought I'd bring another video with some progress of how that's going, and also share with you guys a book that I managed to pick up about the dark crystal. I figured because I am planning to make not only the necklace but also a costume for the goblin ball, that I wanted some really good inspiration. Now, you will have already seen my planning and design stage of the necklace. That's coming very soon as I film this. And as I was doing that, I was sort of thinking, gosh, I really would like to get the Brian Froud illustrated book about the dark crystal. I knew it existed and I didn't have it, and I've got a lot of Brian Froud books. I'd say maybe 10 to 15 books of his, and a few of the, like, he did a sort of tarot card type set, and I've got 2 of those sets as well. I don't have everything that he's done, but I would eventually like to. So anyway, this book, it's not made anymore, it's not printed anymore, I don't believe, so everything is secondhand. So it did take me a little bit of searching around to find a good quality version of it, and a decent price, because they ranged from anywhere from about the $70 mark up to, I think I saw someone trying to sell it for $220. I think it really does depend on the quality of the copy, but really do shop around and be careful. You know, make sure it's a trusted site that has to list, you know, the quality. I ended up getting mine, I was looking at a few places. One was like a book depository, you know, secondhand books, I think was based in the UK. I forget the name of it, but it had a lot of different books, and everyone had to put like the specifics of, you know, the quality of the book that you were getting, where it was from, and all of that sort of thing. And then some of it linked out to other websites, you know, so it was just sort of a website to let you sort of compare prices of books, basically. And I nearly bought it from there, but then I looked around a bit further and found it on eBay. There's 2 versions of the book. There's one with the original artwork, and then they did a revised version. I wanted the original. Both the books have artwork by Brian Froud on them, but I just wanted, I don't know, nostalgic sake, I wanted the original book, so I was really trying to get my hands on that version of it. And yeah, managed to find it in the UK. I think the place on eBay, it was like a very large bookseller, and I think they were called Infinite Books, and it was about $70 including shipping, so I thought that was a really good price. They noted that it was a very good quality, you know, obviously still secondhand, but, you know, very good quality, and I would agree it is very good quality, just about new. The dust cover is a little scuffed, I guess, but not largely, just not as shiny as it would have been brand new, but yeah, fantastic quality. So anyway, this is the book. So yeah, illustrated by Brian Froud, which was what I wanted. There are some comics that came out about the Dark Crystal that are sort of a, I think I can't remember if they're a sequel or a prequel. The Power of the Dark Crystal, it's called, I believe, but they're illustrated by a different artist, and it just didn't speak to me in the same way as Brian Froud's work does. So I was at one stage looking at that, and I thought, no, I really do want like Brian Froud's original Dark Crystal book, the sketches of the designs that, you know, showing how his inspiration and that sort of thing. So what my thought was that the images in the book would really help inspire me, and I love Brian Froud's work, so, you know, I like it just because I like his work, you know, and there's some amazing artwork in here and a lot of eye candy. If you're a fan of the movie or a fan of Brian Froud's work, you'll love this book. Or even if you're just a fan of fantasy artwork in general, he's just a brilliant illustrator, so I think it's fantastic. So apparently the text is by J.J. Llewellyn, I think is how you say it, and it's based on the story from Jim Henson. The book, I think, they say it's designed and edited by Rupert Brown, so the illustrations are Brian Froud, but I presume that the layout was what they mean by designed by Rupert Brown. And they do have some images from the movie in here, so you can see this is actually Aughra from the movie, her with her eyeball. You know, then they've got a picture of the castle that the Skeksis are in. So I am trying to bring in some of this symbology into my necklace. And I really find it interesting that they've really thought out the symbology. It makes sense to the story. It's not just random. And yeah, I think that's really creative. So you'll see I've used this circle with the triangle in it in my necklace, and you can also see that they've used like the planets and things with the symbology, and I've tried to really incorporate that into my necklace as well. And I've also tried to incorporate some of the observatory of Aughra's, where there's like all these planets and machinery and things spinning around to try and determine the Great Conjunction. It seems like her life's work was basically to predict the Great Conjunction, and I take it she built this. You can see like the pictures of the Skeksis. Apparently they were based on bird-like creatures with the sort of beak and everything, but you know, made to be quite grotesque, and then you know, juxtaposed with the opulence that they loved, and you know, their robes and their, you know, jewels and everything. Now, one of the fantastic things about the Dark Crystal is just all the scenery and the effort that went into the world. They wanted it to be a completely alien world, and so they thought about all of the plant life, all of the animals. Everything was a different type of creature. There was, you know, really different movements, plants that walked around, and you know, all of these strange little creatures and things. And they have included sketches that Brian Froud did of some of the creatures that might have inhabited this world, and I just love them. And then you've got the Girl Flings here. The Girl Flings were designed largely by Wendy Froud, and apparently originally they were going to be like a humanistic but animal furry type creature. And the thing was, they were finding that because everything in the world was quite alien, they needed characters that were going to help the audience, you know, bring the audience into the story a bit, and have creatures that looked a little bit human-like, so that you weren't completely faced with entire new world and new creatures and everything. You had something familiar. So they ended up being almost elvish, I think, the Girl Flings. And the little podlings, apparently these were based on potatoes, which I think is so cute. And when you look at them, like, you can kind of see how that could be a potato. I love all this knotwork that they have with the mystics. It's very Celtic, but there's a different flair to it, I guess. and a lot of the shapes and things have been kept very similar, lots of curls and circular shapes and things, and I'm hoping to bring some of that into my necklace. Beautiful rich colours in the artwork there. And again, these beautiful Celtic shapes, Celtic knots, and then the stones and things that hang down, quite rustic. And then the mystics would have these implements that seem to be sort of half walking stick, half sort of magical implement. And again, same sort of shapes and things on them. And there's this real primitive aspect to everything from the mystics. You know, rough looking stones and things that look kind of like bones. Everything's quite worn and rough and of nature. And then you get into the Skeksis. There's a lot more dark colours, harsher lines. There's a real grotesque and harsh look to their faces that come into these beaks with lots of little teeth. They're very bony. They look very sickly. But then they're covered in all of these robes and things. Ornate robes that are completely over the top with almost Elizabethan type details and beadwork and jewels and everything. These very sharp lines and things, still with a Celtic look to them, but very different, very thin and sharp. And then you've got the crystal itself, the dark crystal, which is this brilliant purple magical crystal. This is the artwork that's on the new version of the book. Very beautiful, and it's got all these Celtic knotwork things in the background there that are very organic looking and very pretty. I do really like this, and the new version of the book does look lovely with this on it, but I guess I just wanted the original book because I just liked the fact that it was original, and it was very Brian Froud, the image on the front of the Skeksis, so I just loved that. And here's Aughra. Of the race of Aughra, I was alone, the first and the last, this was my song. I feel like Aughra's just like this perfect misfit of a creature, which is maybe why I love her, because I've always been a bit of a misfit myself. As one person put it to me back in my TAFE days, they said, you know, I danced to the beat of my own drum. And as anyone else who's a bit of a misfit knows, it's a double-edged sword. It's in some respects the hardest thing, because you don't fit in, and you know, I was teased a lot and bullied a lot and things like that, because I was always a little bit strange. Apparently I feel normal to me, but you know, and then on the other hand, it can be the most amazing thing, because there's no one like you. You are so different, and you can bring something so amazing and unique. And I think it's so important to be the most you that you can be. So, with that said, that's the book. So hopefully you enjoyed this little stroll through the book, and some updates of my necklace. And I'll be bringing more videos like this to you guys, either just some updates of the necklace, but I do have a couple other videos planned as well, and then I'll be hopefully working on the other parts of the costume as well, and I plan to share all of that with you guys as well. So hopefully you did enjoy that. Make sure you do hit subscribe if you enjoy my videos and you do want to see more of what I'm up to. I'd love to have you here as part of the Craft Nerd family. And for the rest of you, I'll see you next time. Bye, Craft Nerds.